Welcome back. Carrie Miller is the Program Director and Licensed Pastoral Counselor for Refuge for Women. She works daily with those in the program and sees firsthand the life and challenges that brought these women to the program and how expansive and pervasive this problem truly is throughout our communities. The first need for these women is a simple thing that many of us take for granted.
First and foremost, I think the greatest need for a lot of the women that we serve is safety. Just having a group of people that they can trust is something that that they haven't had, and so being able to just provide a safe place that that around healthy people that give unconditional love in a healthy way is so important to each of the women that we serve.
When women first enter the program experiencing a safe and supportive environment for the first time in a long time, Carrie notes the damage and disillusion that must be addressed.
Well, they all struggle with PTSD. And so being able to stabilize and just kind of start relearning some survival skills that they have acquired through many years of just fighting to survive on the street is one of the first things we have to address. So many of them have PTSD. They have a hard time sleeping. They have a hard time trusting. They have a hard time coping. They have a hard time managing their emotions. So making sure that they have access to mental health and individual counseling is huge. I think about people that are raised fatherless or with fathers that are not emotionally present. And I think they wouldn't know what it was like to have a father that loved them. And so when they do start to feel like somebody is caring for them, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. And it takes quite a while to start, to start to turn that around. The other thing I found is it's generational. I mean, not only are the women being trafficked, but so many times they're being trafficked by their family. And so when you don't have a picture of what life is like in a healthy way, it's really hard for them to dream again and create a new version of what life really is, quote unquote, supposed to be like, what we all deserve.
As Carrie works with the women and they participate in the program, she eventually sees an evolution and change.
It's really, really neat to see a woman that that comes in broken, angry, lonely and not trusting, and to watch her go through the process of healing and go through the process of learning about herself and figuring out who she is again, and watching somebody that is broken and fragile turn into somebody that's empowered and excited about the world and excited about the future, and we get to see that often with the residents that we serve. So it's an awesome journey.
One of the greatest parts of any program is the support of survivors, knowing that others have walked the same path and found a better life on the other end.
And also, it's so important that we have survivors involved in the therapeutic process, because there's something about, a survivor to survivor relationship that that just can't be replaced. When you've been through something, it's just really, it's really comforting to know that somebody else has been through the same thing that you've been through. And we have a lot of past graduates that that are involved in our program and that continue to give back.
One of the challenges that Carrie Miller sees is the thin line that exists between a good life and a life of abuse and exploitation. She notes that the wrong path only takes one decision. She also notes that our society helps propagate this problem.
If we could all just kind of open our eyes to the possibility that things are happening that we maybe don't want to talk about and we don't want to think about, and understand that we don't have to be professionals in any way to help somebody. You don't have to have a degree to have empathy. You can do something from pretty much anywhere and help the situation. And so being open to the fact that this is a situation that's happening nationally, internationally, but also right here in Central Kentucky, and then being open to the possibility of doing something. I think people are scared to touch the human trafficking world and the sex industry, and it's not scary at all. These women are just like you and me. They've just had a different life experience. And so, don't be afraid to get your feet wet. Don't be afraid to educate yourself a little bit on some ways that you can get involved and that you can help out. If we can all get in touch with ourselves and know that we are all flawed individuals, and we all have pain. Pain is something that we all experience. It might not be the same kind of pain that this person experiences or that person experiences, but to be able to understand we all have a common experience here, and just maybe letting down some of those, I call it image management, those faces that we present to the world, and understanding it could be us. It could be our daughter. It could be our sister. I mean, very easily, it's one choice. We are all one bad choice away, of having our life change forever. And so just understanding that, having the ability to just get rid of what you used to think and open your eyes to what it really is happening in the new generation. Especially with social media. I mean, you can be in the fanciest neighborhood and have the most stable life ever and pick up that phone and have a teenager, within minutes be direct messaged by a potential pimp. And before you know it, you're making really, really bad decisions. And so that's the difference. I mean, there are so many more ways today that the bad guys, right, the traffickers, can get into our daily lives, that we really have to be vigilant about it. And, I do think that the drug epidemic is opening a lot of our eyes, because it's not just happening to people that are homeless and poor. I mean, heroin and opioid addiction is going on. Pretty much all of us in that I know can say that we either know somebody, have a family member that knows somebody. It involves us in some way. It's the exact same with trafficking. And I think we'll see that as we continue to have conversations about it and be open to talking about it. Like I said, removing that barrier of shame and just being able to really tell it like it is.
And with social media, we must be even more vigilant to protect children from a technology that exposes everyone to the potential of exploitation.
I mean, there's a simple answer and there's a lengthy answer, and the first step is just making sure that all of those safeguards are on that phone, making sure that they know not to talk to anybody that would inbox them, just whatever kind of regulations. I know I have 2 sons, and so we have certain things on our plate that we don't allow and that we do allow, and making sure that they feel like they're safe and accountable and that they can share that stuff with you. But as parents, making sure that you have an open phone policy, that you can check in on them at any time, and just making sure that you do. I think, oh, my boys are great, my boys are awesome, they're getting good grades in school, and surely they're not doing anything, but I check that phone all the time. They know that there's accountability, and so making sure that your kids know that there's accountability, and making sure they understand the danger, and the danger is very, very palpable. We've been in the schools in Central Kentucky talking, and when you ask how many of you have gotten a direct message from somebody that you don't know, almost the entire class will raise their hand. And so we have to be so cautious about that. The pictures that we post, I don't even want to tell you the stories that I hear of the traffickers and the women who have been trafficked that just scroll Facebook and Instagram looking for pictures of cute little girls and boys to sell. I mean, it sounds terrible, but it's the 100%, it's true.
Refuge for Women is a beacon for women living in very difficult situations, giving them the chance for a new life and a life many thought they could never have. This program and others around the country are trying to open public eyes to a pervasive problem and help provide a lifeline to those that are victims of human trafficking, prostitution, and other forms of sexual exploitation. As we close the show today, a final message from Casey Myers to those out there that may find themselves in a life of sexual exploitation, drugs, and negative influences.
This is a situation that's happening nationally, internationally, but also right here in Central Kentucky, and then being open to the possibility of doing something. I think people are scared to touch the human trafficking world and the sex industry, and it's not scary at all. These women are just like you and me. They've just had a different life experience. And so, don't be afraid to get your feet wet. Don't be afraid to educate yourself a little bit on some ways that you can get involved and that you can help out.